at home. We make everyday life accessible.
Mental Health Monday is sponsored by Focus Treatment Centers. Find hope and recovery at focustreatmentcenters.com.
We are so glad to be able to kick off the week with you once a month with these Mental Health Mondays. And this morning, Courtney Stoddard joins us. She is with Focus Treatment Center. And I think that I want to begin by talking about the fact that March is National Nutrition Month. And one of the things that you shared with me, Courtney, is that there are foods you can eat that improve your mood. So no matter who you are watching today, your mental health can be enhanced by the choices of food you make. Right?
That's right. Yes, Julie, thanks for having me. And we are coming towards the end of National Nutrition Month, but it's a campaign that invites everyone to take a look at their healthy eating habits.
Yeah, I know you want to focus a little bit on what it is to eat healthy, because I'm gathering that sometimes we can think that to eat healthy means that you have to be completely restrictive. That's not the case, is it?
No, it's actually the opposite. So healthy means balanced. And balance looks like having several food groups at a meal and getting that balance every few hours.
Okay.
And so healthy doesn't mean one particular food or nutrient, but rather a combination of many.
Are we all built the same though, Courtney? I mean, I'm in my 50s, so the way I kind of naturally eat now is different than the way I was eating when I was in my 20s and 30s. So does that evolve as we age?
Oh, I think so. You know, metabolism does slow over time. We might not need as much.
Yeah.
And so it's really important to listen to your own internal cues of hunger and fullness, you know, to know what your body needs. And then of course, tastes develop and change over time too.
So if the foods you eat can help improve your mood, are there some go-tos that you know are great enhancers?
Well, adequate carbohydrate and protein are needed for neurotransmitter production in the brain, which helps with mood. So it's important to get those throughout the day at meals.
Okay.
And then even at snacks, those nutrients can be combined to give us a boost in between meals of mood and energy.
So you mentioned, I think I heard you say carbohydrates and proteins both help with those neurotransmitters, but so many people are giving up the carbs these days. Does that make us hit a brick wall if we're not getting enough?
Yes, absolutely. So carbohydrates are our body's primary and preferred source of energy, and it's what our brain runs on. And our brain is really, you know, important in terms of our mood to be functioning at 100%.
Do you ever have conversations with people, because at Focus often you are talking with people who have an eating disorder, and so that is in the mental health field, and it's a very different type of conversation that you're having. But do people get so fixated on this carb intake these days that when they find out that an apple has carbs in it, they think, oh, well, I can't possibly eat that then? Is that a thing?
That's a great example of how eating disorders are progressive, and so they'll become more and more restrictive. And so, yeah, someone that might start their eating disorder with giving up carbohydrates in the form of grains could progress to other food groups and, you know, all carbohydrates. And
I know that you can have conversations all day long with people about the quality of our food these days. A lot of us think it's kind of shifted some, so that nutrition alone, food choices alone, might not be enough to give you the nutrition. If people are taking vitamins, can certain vitamins also help with your outlook?
yeah, so low vitamin D has been associated with low mood. So it's important to maintain our vitamin D levels. Good sources of that are dairy products, egg yolks, and 15 minutes of being in the sun. Mm-hmm. And then B vitamins also have a role in the neurotransmitter production in our brain, which helps with mood. And so good sources of that are meat, beans, and leafy greens.
Does stress come into play at all in this conversation? I've been talking to some folks lately, and we all say that we feel like we have less time in our days now than we ever had before, which can lead you to not having any kind of an outlet. So what do? But you grab a bag of chips and you can fill in the blanks from there. Is that a concern that you see?
Yes, emotional eating, something that everyone does on some level, but when that becomes the primary kind of coping mechanism for the stress is when it becomes a problem and can even develop into an eating disorder. Okay,
so since you said the eating disorder part of it, that's no longer a taboo conversation. I think most of us are pretty comfortable with the conversation, but we don't always know then how to either detect one or where to turn for help. So are there warning signs where you can see someone that you know and love who's struggling?
Yes, there are warning signs. You know, I think when weight loss and dieting becomes someone's primary concern, that control of food and preoccupation with calories and food and weight, signs of malnutrition can be a red flag, such as muscle wasting and hair loss. And, you know, withdrawal from usual friends and activities, or avoiding activities that involve food.
We tend to think of it about it being a young girl's disease, but that really isn't the case, is it? Doesn't it strike at lots of different ages?
Eating disorders do not discriminate. So yes, they affect pretty much anyone who has a body. It doesn't matter the gender, the race, the socioeconomic status.
Do parents, though, need to be a little bit mindful if you do have a daughter who's 14 and she's beginning, we have a minute left, but beginning to watch what she eats? That's not the same thing, is it, as having an eating disorder?
No, it's not the same thing. However, diets, especially early on, can be the trigger for the onset of an eating disorder. So something just to be aware of, be mindful of, and kind of discourage, you know, in terms of restrictive eating.
In terms of accessing your care there, y'all do virtual classes for eating disorders?
We do. We have virtual treatment for people who struggle with eating disorders, and it's a group that meets 3 evenings a week.
Do they contact you to see about signing up for it, or do they have to be referred into the program?
They can contact us directly.
Okay.
They can call or text our phone number.
Okay. It is a topic that affects so many people, mental health, all of us. She said if you have a body, then you want to be careful what you're putting into it. And if you have a brain, which we all do, mental health is going to cross your path at some point. So they would love to hear from you at Focus Treatment Centers, 308-2560. Their office is on Shallowford Road. And if you want to find about the sessions, it's focustreatmentcenters.com to learn more. Thank you, Courtney.
Thank you.
I'm Jonathan Lawson, here to tell you about life